chambers and associations, as well as long-life individual learners, achieve peak performance. Before launching Birnbach's Success Solution, Sheila spent over a decade in the banking industry, rising from entry level to vice president in the bank's history. Well, I don't know if you guys want me to read the whole thing or everything, but she has served on the faculty of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute for Organizational Management for over 20 years. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So,
thanks a lot, Ed. Let's give him a hand. If you downloaded the handout, all of you should have received an email from me. In an effort to keep green, we're trying not to replicate long handouts for everybody, but to let you do that on your own or to look at it on your computer. For anybody who did not download the handout, I do have an in-class version. There is a difference. The one that I uploaded to the computer is longer. It has more forms and samples in it. Any of you that want that information, it will be available to you on the Institute's website for 30 days after Institute's over. And if you ever need it beyond that, all you have to do is contact me. All right? We are here this morning talking about hiring, firing, and everything in between. Is there anybody here that doesn't currently supervise or manage anybody? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it's about a third of the class. Let me assure you that you will still leave this class with a lot, because many of you also manage volunteers. Some of you may also manage children. Many of you may be trying to manage life partners, and you will learn a lot about how to do all of that. Now, for those of you who were at the prologue yesterday, you heard Bob say that those of us on the faculty are going to try to shake up that bottle with the bees in it, lift the cap, and try to shake up your thinking. I know it's Monday morning. I know you're just getting started, but I am going to start this morning by trying to shake up your thinking. I'm going to be giving you a brand new way to think about how you do your job. And I'd like to ask all of you, I know it's Monday morning, but to keep an open mind as we do that. Now, I do believe in the value of paper and pencil exercises. I'm not trying to replicate your grade school experience, but I know for myself that if I keep a grocery list in the kitchen, when I run out of things, I put them on the list. Invariably, I get to the grocery store, and the list is still in the kitchen. But I remember what I need to buy better from the act of having written it down. So I have developed a handout that has two purposes. One, it's a workbook while you're here, and secondly, it's a reference aid when you go back. The more you choose to put into that handout, the more you will leave here with. It's entirely up to you. I know your pens don't have spell check. I don't care about your grammar. I don't care if you can, about full sentences. I just want to teach you everything I can in a very short period of time about how you can hire, fire, motivate, coach, counsel, and get your employees to succeed and do so in a legally compliant way. That said, let me share with you the course objectives. At the end of every class that you have at Institute, you'll be given an evaluation form, and you'll be asked to evaluate the faculty on how well we meet these objectives. So the first thing I like to do is put them up here to remind you. Any of you that are managing in this current life or any previous lives, you know that it is one of the most time-consuming, energy-draining parts of your job. So the first topic is, how do we hire top-notch employees? How do we manage difficult employee situations? And then finally, I want to make sure I give you what you need to keep compliant. Now, if there are any chamber folks in the room and you're considering accreditation, there is an HR component to the accreditation application. And by the end of this class, you'll have everything you need to complete that section of the accreditation application. Are there any questions for me before we get started? Okay, then, for those of you, I'd like you to open your handout to the page after the course topics. Those of you with the long version, the downloaded version, and those of you with the short version, we're going to have different page numbers as we go along. it says develop your behavior list. And the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to think about one position that reports to you. Now, I'm saying position as differentiated from incumbent. A position that reports to you, and for those of you who don't supervise or manage any staff, you can think about a volunteer if you like. You can think about your own position. I'd like you to use the exercises in a way that will be most helpful to you. So however that is. Think about a position that reports to you and what is one critical duty of that position. And then after you jot down that critical duty, I'd like you to think about what any incumbent would have to do for you to give them an A+ at that duty, using that grade school scoring mechanism. If I were the incumbent and that was my responsibility, what would I have to do for you to give me an A+? Okay, let me give you a couple minutes to work that out. I'm going to make a generic class list. I know that many of you have indicated different responsibilities and you may have different expectations. But the first thing I'd like to do is make a class list. If I use this flip chart, can all of you see it? Can you see that? Okay. And those of you on my left? Right. What would you expect of me in order to give me an A+? What would I have to do to succeed? Who would like to start us off?
Be proactive.
Proactive? What else?
Be flexible.
Probably should be fun.
I'm glad I'm in the fun group.
Good communication skills.
Interact. All right, what else?
Good time management.
I'm sorry.
Time management. Be a good multitasker.
Multitask.
Knowledgeable about the subject.
Knowledgeable. Okay, knowledgeable. Couple more.
Be willing.
Willing. What?
Willing to do whatever it takes to get the job done.
Somebody's gonna come up over here. Okay. All right, we're going to come back to this list in a little bit. In the meantime, I'm going to share a concept with you that's going to require many of you to think differently. I call this my iceberg theory, and all of you have in your handouts an illustration of an iceberg. Now, if you were to imagine that that's the water within which that iceberg lives, then what would you automatically know by looking at this picture?
That nothing is the same. That what you perceive how you perceive things may not be what they actually are.
Correct. How you perceive things is not how they actually are. Because what you would see is that, and what exists is all of this. Now, on a recent trip to Alaska, I was told that 5/6 of an iceberg is below the waterline and 1/6 is above. I don't know if that's scientifically true, and I don't know if my illustration is drawn to scale. But most of the iceberg is below the waterline. We cannot see it. This is where the expression tip of the iceberg comes from. Now, why do I bring this up? I bring this up because I use this iceberg as an analogy or a metaphor to talk about us as people. Because most of who we are is below the skin, below the surface. Would anybody have a problem with that? Does anybody disagree? Everybody agrees. All right, that said then, if this is the iceberg, then what is it about you that I don't know just from looking at you? In other words, what is it about what is it about you that's under the waterline, below the waterline, under your skin?
Experience.
Right? I don't know your experiences. Knowledge. Can I see your behaviors? Who said behavior? Can I see them? Can I see? Don't know why.
They can be disguised, yeah.
Well, I think of that why as what motivates those behaviors. You're right, I don't know the why, but I know that you're sitting in the front row wearing a blue top with your left hand on your right arm. I can see that. That's not a behavior?
That's not what I meant.
Oh, okay.
That's not what I meant.
Then what did you mean? Because I don't know what she meant. I only know what she says, right?
Or what you see and what you perceive.
Well, what I see and what I perceive are two different things. Yep. So what else do we not know? What else can we not perceive? What else do I not know about you just from looking at you?
Values.
Your values?
Biases.
What else?
Everything.
Most of it, right? Do I know your intelligence level? No. How many of you have ever worked with a volunteer? You've wondered about their intelligence level, right? Maybe they were even on your board. Maybe they were even the president. What else? Your goals? Do I know your integrity level? What about attitude? How many of you have ever worked with someone with an attitude? Anybody? How did you know they had an attitude? They show you. Like how, Ed? Huh? How did they show you they had an attitude? Can you see somebody's attitude? Yeah?
Not always.
What do you see?
Body language.
What else?
Tone.
Facial expression.
Right. Facial expressions. Now, Jessica, you want to go back to how you were sitting just a half a second ago? Okay, great. Thank you.